Oh boy, this is gonna be a tough one to talk about. The title alone should be enough to get on some people's nerves, but oh well, can't please everyone I guess. But that also applies to me, right? I can't be a hypocrite. Fighting games are just not for me for the most part. But Han, what do you mean for the most part? I say for the most part because I don't dislike fighting games at all. I had my fair share of enjoyment with them. Just not the same way as its core audience. It's just that some fighting games managed to catch people like me. Games like Mortal Kombat and Injustice. From that alone, you can probably tell what kind of player I am. To be honest, I hesitated a lot before deciding to make this video since it can have very bad takes and I really wanna avoid pissing people off. But it's not fun to keep playing safe, right? In this video, I'll try to talk about fighting games through the eyes of a casual gamer like me, so sit down and enjoy the trip. Like I said, I had my fair share of fun with fighting games. It all started on my PS1 days when my dad played Tekken 3 and allowed me to play. I don't remember if that game was easy to play or not, but I know for a fact it's a miracle I went so far on that game to the point of unlocking almost all characters. I remember unlocking Gon and how happy I was from doing that. But besides that, there's not much besides a very peculiar Power Rangers game which I'll talk about in a minute. After that, there was King of Fighters 2006 on PS2, which I also unlocked most characters, but my best experience with fighting games came with Mortal Kombat 9. Oh boy, I love that game. Just recently a friend told me how unbalanced that game is, but I'm not a hardcore fighter or nor a competitive player anyway, so I don't care. Back then I only bought the game because Kratos was in it, and fuck yeah, I was a huge fan of God of War. Still am. I bought the game for Kratos, stayed for everyone else. The story of that game made me fall in love with the Mortal Kombat series. It just had so much to it that I grew some attachment. Shao Kahn became my all-time favorite villain, Scorpion became one of my favorite anti-heroes, and Kung Lao became my favorite character in that game. I've beaten arcade ladders with all characters in maximum difficulty back then. That's just how much I loved it. I got so good at that game that when I played with friends in their houses, they'd eventually stop playing against me. They used to say, "It's no fun playing against you." That day, I gave them a chance by playing as Melina and I lost to them in a flawless victory. Not because I was going easy on them, but because I sucked playing as Melina. That was a moment of happiness to them, until I picked Baraka on the next match and things went back to status quo. Yeah, I was good. Sometime later, I played Injustice and god damn. That game was fantastic for story mode alone. I never even cared about multiplayer or anything. I just wanted to play the story and beat the ladder with every character. Injustice is the prime example of a single player fighting game experience. Same goes for its sequel that managed to be even better in every way. Outside of that, I played Mortal Kombat 10, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Soul Calibur. All of them were okay at best. With all that said, let's ask the real question here. If I enjoy these games, why don't I play more fighting games then? Well, because not enough content and payoff. See, I wanted to join my friends in their gaming sessions to see if we would have fun playing those games. So I got Melty Blood, Grand Blue vs. Blast Blue, and Mortal Kombat 11. And to be honest, many times I felt like buying those games were a waste of money, because we never actually get to play those games together. Either something bad happens before we get to play it, or my third world country connection cuts short. I bought those games exclusively to play with my friends, but since I can't for reasons, I try playing those games and it falls short real quick. Melty Blood and Tekken 7 don't really have much to do if you're on single player like me. What are you gonna do? Just beat all the ladders? That's it? What's the reward for it? Getting good? Mastering the characters? Really? That is the reward? Well, no thanks. I don't really care about that. I'm not competitive. I don't care about mastering anything. I'm just a casual gamer. I like to play a game, beat it once, and move on to the next game. And these games don't really have much to offer. And let me add that my friends keep telling me to keep training. Exactly what is fun about spending 30 plus hours to get good at a game when you have a huge pile of games urging you to play them? Yeah, no, I'm not that kind of player. I want to have more variety in my list. And that's why I like Mortal Kombat and Injustice so much. They're games you don't have to master the characters or get good. You can just play the story. or just watch it on YouTube if you don't really like fighting games at all. But then, it begs the question, what exactly do you expect from fighting games besides fighting? Yeah, I can safely answer that question and bring examples. For one, Tekken 3 back in the day had Tekken Volley, which was already something else besides just fighting. Having different modes greatly helps adding variety to the game. Mortal Kombat always had Test Your Might and other challenges in the tower. Tekken 7 had bowling, even though I just criticized it, right? Well, yeah. Anyway, Mortal Kombat Armageddon had a racing game which totally should be available outside of it too. And the biggest example of variety and innovation comes from Street Fighter 6, which introduced an open world to a fighting game. Who would have thought? I would have played that game just for that. Only in my dreams I would see an open world fighting game. But there it is, and I'm glad there's games still trying to do something different. Back in the day, there was this one Power Rangers game called Hyakuju Sentai Gao Ranger, which was a fighting game where you fought dozens of minions before getting to the boss, and after defeating the boss, your team assembles your Megazord and fight it once again in an entirely different combat, which includes first-person punching. That was very unique, and I wish there were more games like that one. It was pretty fun to play. Yeah, fighting game where you just go out in the city and fight dozens of minions, why don't we have more of these? Yeah. I also want to mention that at some point I want to try one of those Godzilla fighting games because I don't need to say much about giant monsters fighting with the city as their arena, do I? If you watched my video about giant robots, you'll notice I said that making a AA real steel game with customizable robots would be a great thing, right? Yeah, I totally want that. A fighting game with customizable giant robots. Just amazing. It can even be a live service game that gets new robots and new custom parts from time to time. I think in that case you'll do more good than harm. Anyway, it all comes down to not being repetitive. To have more than just fighting, to have more content and more rewards. That can keep single players in it for longer. Now, the next issue is very personal. I'm not competitive. If that wasn't clear enough, let me just say that I'm not competitive like at all. I don't like playing online. I'm here sharing my opinion with you, dear viewer, but I'm very antisocial. I don't like playing against strangers. I don't like having strangers playing on my screen. I don't like having too many people around me. I don't like being judged and many other reasons. And fighting games are inherently competitive. You play to win against other people. You play for tournaments. You play so you can brag and trash talk other people. Yeah, I'm not into that. I like enjoying games by myself. Back in 2011, since I've beaten the arcade ladders with all characters in Mortal Kombat 9, I thought I was a pro, so I decided to play against stranger. And to be fair, I met some nice folks who would win against me and then say, "Well done, you're not bad at all, partner." Or I would come to them after defeating them and say, "Very well played, I wanna play with you again some other day." And all the nice things gamers can say. At the same time though, I met some real douchebags that would message me to say, "You suck." And I don't like that at all. As childish as you might find, I don't really want to deal with shit talking, and the fighting game community is filled with that. I really don't want to meet someone who will tell me that my life is literally as valuable as summer ant. Going through that and through shit talking in shooter games was enough to permanently run me out of PvP. So yeah, you could say I have skill issue, that's fair, I'll take the L. And with all that said, what is even the point of playing a fighting game if you're not competitive? If you don't care about getting good or mastering anything and you just want to play a game once and move on to the next game? For my use, it's pointless, so if the game doesn't have a good story, enough content and valuable rewards, then I'm out. I'm better off playing Yakuza, since that one doesn't require that much practice and has plenty of content. All in all, I don't play fighting games simply because I don't like spending too long in a game, I don't care about mastering anything, and I'm not competitive at all. But that's just me, I don't think fighting games should change for my sake. I'm only like a tiny bit of the general audience, less than 1%, so I can't demand them to suit my taste. Though I'd be glad if there were more variety in fighting games. But like I said in the beginning, I am entirely capable of enjoying a fighting game as long as there is more than just fighting and if the game has a good enough story. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. For more videos about video games, anime and movies, please like and subscribe. I'll catch you later then.